Is Bobby Fischer the best chess player of all time? Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're starting with a new series, which is my 60 memorable games from the legend himself, Robert James Fischer. If not the best, one of the best. For me personally, the best chess player out there. And I'm going to analyze all 60 of his favorite games from a book. These games were played between 1957 and I think 1967. So with two exceptions, I think game 44 and game 50. This is the first game from a book which I will cover. Here, Robert James Fischer was a 14-year-old, and he was facing a very powerful chess player, James Sherwin. And this game was played in 1957 in New Jersey Open Championship. And as you will see in the game, it is a very interesting attacking game with lots of chances. And it demonstrates a thunderbolt from Fischer, a brilliant move, a brilliant sacrifice, as you will see later in the game. So, without further ado, let's get started with the game 1 of the book. Okay, here we have Robert James Fischer. As you know, he starts the game with e4. This is his main choice, and we have c5. The Sicilian defense is on the board, and you know it's going to be a fight when you're facing the Sicilian. So we have knight to f3 by Bobby, e6. And here Bobby didn't like d4. I think he wanted to surprise his opponent, so he played d3 and knight to c6. g3, knight to f6. Here I can say that later in his life, Bobby had this exact same position on the board in 1966 in Santa Monica, where he was facing Ilko, and here Ilko played d5. The game continued with knight to d2, bishop d6, bishop g2, and knight from g to e7. Both players castles, and here white could take the initiative with knight h4. This is Fischer considered this slightly better for white in his book. So yeah, but in this game, his opponent Sherwin played knight to f6, developing the knight before striking the center, and we have bishop g2, developing bishop to e7, both players castles, pretty normal stuff. And here I can say that d5 move is more usual, but Sherwin castled. Okay, and we have knight from b to d2. Here it's pointed out by Fischer that e5 would be the way to go, because the point is knight d5 would have been played, and Fischer points out that now you develop the knight, f6 challenging the pawn, e takes on f6, knight takes on f6, and rook to e1, and already, as you can see, white has a slight edge in this position. But Fischer developed the knight first, and we have rook to b8, getting off this long diagonal, and rook to e1, nicely developing the rook, d6, and c3, controlling the d4s, the important d4 and b4 square, and b6 move. Here Fischer said in his book that this is not a bad move, not bad, but here he pointed out, I'm going to show you now one line that he was expecting b5 move. And here he would reply it with d4. And now the best continuation would be to play c takes on d4. You need to take c takes on d4 and d5. And here the position would be equal. But let me go back. Here b5, black can make quickly a mistake. Fischer would, like I said earlier, would play d4. And now if black wants to go for some sort of an advantage, which with b4 move, which is always the best move, but in this case it isn't, you play e5. You challenge this knight already. And now if black takes with maybe Zwischenzug, you take the knight first, and now the e7 bishop is hanging. And now the point is, if you take the knight back, what do you play here with white? It's very simple and easy. You play knight takes on d2, and the point is that both your pieces are hanging. Your e7 bishop is hanging by the pawn, and your c6 knight is hanging because the g2 bishop is nicely eyeing that knight. So that doesn't work. Here Sherwin played b6, which is not a bad move, and here Robert James Fischer strike in the center with d4, the best move. Here this is the first mistake in the game. Sherwin in this position should play c takes on d4, and we would see something like c takes on d4 and d5, immediately striking the center, challenging the e4 pawn, and we would see something like e5 and knight to d7, which would be slightly better for white, but the fight Sherwin would fight Fischer till the end in this position. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and Sherwin made a slight mistake, and he played queen to c7. Fischer quickly punished this and struck in the center with e5. He played e5, and here I can show you one line which is represented in the book. Here you don't go. You can't play knight d7, which looks like I'm going to give this mistake mark, which looks like a natural move to play, because the point is that Fischer here can take on d6, and now you need to take with the bishop, which looks normal. But now you free the e4 square for the knight, and you play knight e4, and we would see c takes on d4, knight takes the bishop, queen takes the knight, and the point behind this, you see the rook and the queen are on the same diagonal. You play bishop to f4, but maybe you think black has got a nice defense in e5 move, connecting the pawns and attacking the bishop. But not so fast here. Fischer would reply with knight takes on e5, a very nice move, and now we would see something like knight from d takes on e5, and here with this move white is completely winning. This piece will fall because it's attacked by the rook and the pawn and the bishop. So even if you take this pawn, white is going to recapture the knight, and then the rook will hang. So that doesn't work. Here Sherwin played knight d5, and we have Fischer took the d6 pawn. Sherwin took with the bishop, and here we have knight e4 and c4. This is what Sherwin played. And if you guys are thinking about maybe the Zwischenzug to taking in the center, c takes on d4. This is a mistake because here Fischer pointed out that he would take this bishop, and now the queen needs to take the knight, and now you play c4, attacking, not taking, but pushing the pawn. And now knight needs to move to f6. You play bishop to f4, attacking both the queen and the rook. And now the best defense is, the best move is queen e7, and now you just pick the exchange, get an exchange, and white is completely better after the line ends. So if we go back, Sherwin played c4, which is considered the second best move, and Fischer took this bishop. Queen takes the bishop, and now a very nice move by Fischer. He played knight g5. If I can ask you here, what is maybe the idea here? If you look at this move, I think the queen will come to h5 to threaten mate, or the queen can come to c2 and threaten mate on that weak h7 square. This is his plan. Here we are at here h6 should have been played, but it wasn't, and we would see something like knight e4 and d5. This was considered the best continuation for black by Fischer, but unfortunately Sherwin made another mistake, and he played the knight from c to e7. His idea was to defend this diagonal and put another knight to the king side to defend the black king. But that doesn't work. Fischer continued with, like I said, with his plan to deliver a nice checkmate, and Sherwin played knight to g6. Here Fischer continued with his aggressive style of play and played h4. And now knight to f6. It is pointed out that here Sherwin said that everything is defended, that his king side is defended. But here I can show you a line if black wants to play, let's say this line is pointed out in the book, rook d8. Here, if Sherwin would play this move, Fischer said that he would sack a knight with knight x on h7. Now you will see how much poison is in this position. King takes on h7, and we would see something like h5, f5. And now h takes on g6, king takes on g6, and e5. And this position is described by Fischer as completely winning for white. I would pick white in this position completely. Black is shattered. So Sherwin played knight to f6, and now we are in the critical position. You are Robert James Fischer. Pause the video, take a couple of seconds or take a couple of minutes. What would you play? Comment in the comments down below. Just one move. Comment what would you play in this position. Find a brilliant move. Here, if you found the best move, you are playing like 14-year-old grandmaster, and the best move in this position is knight takes on h7. This is a wonderful position, and here, if you guys think about capturing the knight with the king, I'm going to correct this. This is a big blunder. sorry, you would see something like bishop f4, and now you can defend this rook with a queen because this knight is pinned and the bishop cannot be captured. And now we would see something like the engine says it's very interesting that this is the best move, which is funny. Excuse me. But that didn't happen. Sherwin saw all of that, so he played knight takes on h7 here, and we have going for the king h5. And the best defensive resource here, Sherwin thought about it all, and he played nice knight h4. And Fischer replied with bishop to f4. This is the plan because the rooks are sorry. The point is that the rooks are not connected because of this c8 bishop. And now the queen goes to d8. Here, do you take this rook? This is the question in this position. Or what do you play here with white? It's a very poisoning position because here, maybe if you guys thought about taking the rook, now you're losing the game because black has a Zwischenzug, and this is the real point behind knight h4 move. You take the bishop first, and now if the king takes, you give a check on this long diagonal. You need to block, and now you pick up this bishop, and now black has got 2 pieces for a rook and is completely winning. So here in this position, when queen to d8 was played, Fischer recaptured the knight, and we have rook b7, a very nice move by Sherwin again, a very nice defense because Fischer points out that if white took the rook, black would get a nice bishop on b7 square, and the position would be equal. So he continued with his attack, and he played h6. Queen takes on h4. And here in the book, it's pointed out that the best defensive resource would be to play g6. And after h5, you play g5, bishop to e5, and the fight continues. This was pointed out by Bobby, but that didn't happen. Unfortunately, Sherwin took the pawn. And we have h takes on g7. And this was the last mistake in the game. Sherwin played king takes the pawn, which is unfortunately not the right approach, not the right way to play. Here, you need to play rook d8, so you can still fight because this pawn is a shield, and now white needs to attack on the light squares, maybe to threaten this knight on these light squares, and the pawn nicely covers the black king, and we would see something like bishop to g3, harassing the queen. Queen goes to h6 and queen to e2. White is better, but black can fight on. After the mistake was made here, Bobby immediately punished him and played a nice trap. The trap is to play bishop e5 with check and picking up the queen. So this is the trap. Sherwin saw that, and he played queen to h5, and now rook e3. The second trap to play rook h3, queen moves, and rook back to g3 to win the queen. And we have f5, Fischer continued, rook h3, queen goes back to e8, so you don't lose the queen, but now e5 check. Here, if you're thinking about playing king to g8, you're getting mated because this is a nice checkmate. So I hope you saw that. Sherwin blocked with the knight, but now we have queen to d2, looking at h6 square. Sherwin tried to run away with the king. Queen goes to f5, threatening to take the knight. And now we have queen e7 trying to escape via the light squares. But here just one more thing. If you try to play this move, Fischer said that this is devastating, so this is losing for black completely. And so he tried to escape, but now we have bishop takes the knight, which is completely winning. Sherwin took with the queen, and now you play Fischer played rook h7 check, and now king goes to e8. Queen takes queen, and here, if you're thinking about taking the queen, we would see something like rook takes, bishop takes, and bishop takes. And at the end of the line, white is completely winning. You're up a piece, so that didn't happen. Here, Sherwin took the rook, but now Bobby played bishop c6, and in this position, Sherwin also resigned the game because there is no defense. Here it is pointed out in the book. Bobby said that if Sherwin would play this is the best move, Fischer would take the pawn, and now you're just getting destroyed. Whatever you play, let's say, for example, king moves, you take the bishop, you need to recapture, and you're up a queen. This is completely winning for white, so Sherwin knew this, and he resigned the game. So yeah, it all came down to this moment when Bobby sacrificed his knight on the h7 square and made history. Later, Sherwin resigned, and because it was nothing for him to do. I hope you really enjoyed. In the first game I covered between Bobby Fischer and James Sherwin. I'm going to really try to make one Fischer's game in a week. So if you got some friends, family members, or if you know somebody who really loves classic chess, legendary games, or Robert James Fischer, please share this video with everyone. That would really help me for my channel and for the audience. It would be really great for the chess community. And if you like my chess content, you can feel free to hit that button to subscribe and like the video, share it. And I hope you guys will have a wonderful day. See you guys soon with more chess content to come, and goodbye.